Welcome back in to Hawks Huddle. Jacqueline Kula and Mark Haskinet back here for episode 27 here. How are you doing, Jacqueline?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Mark? We got
Very, very.
patios open now.
Yes, very good. I was gonna say
Yeah.
patios were open. I was at a patio
Uh,
yesterday, so it was good to be back out there and kind of socializing and got the vaccine last week as well.
you
So
got your first dose.
my
Yeah.
first
You're
dose, yes.
late.
I know. And we've talked about that before. I was kind of, behind the majority. When did you get yours? It's been a couple
I
months,
got my
right?
first one a couple months, and I just got my second one
Right. Yeah.
almost
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. So tomorrow I'll be officially 2 weeks. And I don't know if we talked about it on the pod too much, but I told
Right.
you I haven't done a thing. Like
Yeah.
I've been with my family, we've all been taking this like you can't get more serious than how my family has done. Like when I saw friends, it was only from like 10 feet away in my backyard. So like fully isolated, but I wasn't taking it as hard as a lot of other people because me and my family, we have a lot of things that we all do together. So it was fine.
Yeah.
But now Sunday, well, my brother got a few days after me, so I'm gonna wait till he's like officially fully like the 2 weeks. But after like Wednesday, I'm gonna see my friends. Of course we're still gonna be careful. Like we're
Yeah.
gonna be, we're gonna think about other people. We're not gonna be throwing frat parties
Huge
like what you
parties.
see
Yeah.
in the States, like those crazy parties. That's not gonna happen. But I am gonna see my friends who are fully vaccinated as well, and I'm gonna like enjoy my summer.
And that's super exciting. Like,
Yeah.
if more people kind of were like you, I
Oh,
don't know. I don't
this
think it would have
wouldn't have
been this long,
happened.
right?
We would have been out of this last year in April. So
Exactly.
yeah. So for everyone listening, if you guys you are eligible, I'm sure for at least your first. You can maybe get your second one soon. Do your research on it. I know there's a lot of people online saying things about the vaccine that aren't true. So do your real research and listen to scientists and doctors and go get your vaccine so that we can be finished with this. And I'm
Yeah.
sure I'm also sporting events. I'm sure they're going to make it mandatory for
A
flying.
lot of
So
places. Yep.
go get your vaccine, do your research, and yeah, I'm excited about this summer. I told you like I haven't been on a patio.
Yeah.
I haven't gone out to eat in like a year and a half. So I'm making plans already with my friends. We're gonna go out to a
Which is
patio. So
awesome. Yeah.
I'm so excited and like yeah, things are looking great. So everyone just stay careful, go get your vaccine, and this will be over
Exactly.
soon.
Yeah. And the patios, like I said, I was at one yesterday and they were packed, which kind of
Yeah,
worries me as if people aren't, being safe like
yeah,
you're saying and stuff. Like, this isn't kind of we're just reopening. It's not like,
yeah.
everyone should be fleeing. I saw big lines at Winners and stuff
Yeah,
like
I
that
saw
as
that
well.
too.
You got to ease it a little bit because,
Yeah,
we don't want to be in a lockdown in another month or two. So,
exactly. So
but for everybody
100%.
watching, as always, if you would like to or drop a like, I should say, on the video and subscribe. That helps us out a bunch. And there's a lot of sports to talk about for
Mhm.
sure, Jacqueline. Obviously, the Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul fight happened this past Sunday. Very interesting. I'm sure we'll have some takes on that. We'll talk on that. Julio Jones, he was
Mhm.
traded. We were saying, we were thinking that a trade was going to happen, and he did. He's going to the Titans. And a little bit of other news that we will get into on this episode today. But yeah, let's start with the Mayweather and Paul.
Yeah.
Millions of people, over 1 million people actually purchased it. I watched it. I'm sure you watched it
Yep.
as well.
Mhm.
What are your initial kind of remarks, or what? How did you kind of want to start on that fight? Obviously, hey, Paul lasted the 8 rounds.
Yeah, like I'm gonna start off. So the first was it the first fight? Was that Chad Johnson? We got
Oh
Chad
yes.
Ocho Cinco Johnson. That was pretty funny to see. He got knocked down. He didn't get knocked out, but he did get knocked down. I don't know who was he fighting. He was fighting a professional fighter of some sort. I think
Yeah.
he's a big fan of Chad Johnson, so it was more of like a respect thing.
Mhm.
Um, but that was cool to see him fight.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of almost forgot about that in a sense because obviously the Mayweather and Paul fight was so hyped, but I did see the Ocho Cinco fight as well, and yeah, like he did get knocked, but not knocked out
No,
exactly. Like
no.
he was down and then he was right back up. So hey, good for him because I believe that was his first fight
Yeah,
as well,
I think
right?
so. And it was pretty cool to see because he is a bit older as well. He's a retired football player,
Yeah,
so
of
that was cool.
course.
And then the next fight. or maybe it was 2 fights. No, the next fight was a really great fight. I don't know who they were. They were professional fighters. Do you know what I'm talking about? Their faces were like gushing blood after.
Yeah, yes, I know
I
the
was
fight.
yeah, I don't know the
Again, though,
names,
not too well with the names. Yeah,
but I was so intrigued. It was so entertaining.
it was, and like credit to Showtime for putting on like that card. It was a really good card. A lot of I know Dana White and some people said, you know,
Mhm.
if you bought the actual pay-per-view, you wasted all your money. Some other
I had
people said
fun.
that. It was a good card,
It
yes.
was good.
The main fight itself, we'll get into the Mayweather and
Mhm.
Paul, but yeah, like that fight before that you just mentioned, the Chad Johnson, which I kind of forgot about, but now remembering on it, like there was some pretty interesting fights. I know there was then the concert. Like it was a big
Mhm.
event, right? So it was certainly fun. I'm just surprised that of course Paul. You can think whatever you want about the fight. Um, Paul obviously lasted the full match with Mayweather, so it was pretty impressive.
Do you think it was rigged? That's the big
Yeah, that's the
question.
question though, right?
Because they were putting on a show. It's entertainment. Floyd may have gotten 100 mil, I think. I believe he may have got 100
Yeah.
mil. Logan may have gotten the 20 mil or so. Was this just for entertainment, or do you think they were trying their hardest?
Yeah, it's tough. I don't think they were.
Mhm.
A lot of people want to show the clip where Floyd is kind of holding him up, right? We've all
Yeah.
seen and heard that over this past week. I don't know. Okay, I don't know if that was the case, if that was all part of it. But it just didn't seem as if Floyd was trying as hard
Yeah.
as he could have,
Like
right? Um,
the way I saw it is like I always want to believe things are real, I'm one of
Yeah.
those people, but like if you do think about it, Floyd is so much smaller, and he's not. I think Logan weighs like what, like two weight
Y
classes above him or three weight classes. Like,
yes.
it's not even legal for them to be fighting. And
Mhm.
Floyd's older, and I don't think he's been training as much as he should. So when you really think about
That's
it,
yeah.
I think that could have been like the reason why it didn't seem like he was putting all his effort. Maybe he was. He's not he's a retired boxer,
Yeah.
so maybe that's like maybe he can't fight the same way that he did. And with Logan, like I think Logan put his full effort, of course, because he's fighting,
Of course,
are
yeah.
you the greatest? But Logan, like he was tired right when the fight started. I don't know if you saw it, but
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
rained. It was in Miami. It's at Hard Rock Stadium. It's
Mhm.
open and it rained. So imagine the humidity, like how
Yes.
hot
Yeah.
it is. And he's not used to that stuff living in LA. And I think he moved to an island somewhere. But um, I I I do think that they did try, but at the same time, they were putting on a show. I think it was a little bit of both with that.
Exactly, and I think I'm kind of with you. We said it in the weeks leading up to the fight. I
Mhm.
mean, we said it's for money. They're both in
Right.
it for the money. I mean, we knew that when the card was announced or when the match was announced and everything, and they certainly were. But that was classic Mayweather in the sense. I think I agree with you. He's retired, probably didn't have as much training, like you were saying, all those factors. But it was classic in the sense that yeah, he was just tiring out Logan Paul. Like Paul was getting some punches in the end of the
Mhm.
first round when he was really going
Yeah.
after him. And he landed a couple more in the next couple rounds, but he was getting there's tired and there's like tired because by round 5 and round 6 Paul was exhausted,
Yeah. He was
absolutely exhausted. Yeah, I mean it was interesting. The hold up, I don't know, like what was he gonna get knocked out? Were they gonna
I
call
don't
the
think he
fight
was
there?
knocked out. I think
Yeah.
like you can kind of tell if someone's knocked out because like there's no life in their eyes, but
Right.
you can see that he's there. He's just exhausted. I think he was just, you know, just tired, like he's like slouching, right? And he was holding him up maybe because Logan was going to fall on him because he's so much bigger than him that he can crush
Yeah.
him if he falls on him. Like we don't
Yeah.
really know. We're probably never going to know, but
And that size difference was so noticeable. Yeah, like
crazy.
seeing
It's like
them two against each other in a match, like that
yeah.
was crazy to
Because
see.
Floyd has to like punch up, like he's not used to having to punch up like that. So, like, because it's not like a legal fight when you think about it. He would never fight someone like that in a real match. So,
Yeah.
I want to stick that I think it was real, just maybe for my own self. Um, And oh, another thing that I didn't like about it was the commentary. Did you like listen to the commentary?
Not too much, but
It
I
was
heard. Did you? What was wrong with it? Yeah,
it
like
was
what?
like who were they? There was two like real commentators and there was two like comedians, I think, and they kept on calling him Jake first of all.
Oh
And then they
yes,
kept on
yeah.
saying that he's a TikToker. Logan is not a TikToker. Logan started on Vine when he was like 18 years old, maybe. Then he was on YouTube for the past 5 years. So it's like,
Yeah.
where are they getting TikToker? He is so much bigger than TikTokers. Like it was really annoying me. I was like yelling at my screen. Like I could have like I'm like these guys don't do. I think they were drinking a bit, so like
Yeah, I'm
they were just
sure.
having a little fun. I get it, but like, I was so annoyed.
I get that. You should kind of know, who you're commentating on, right?
Yeah,
I think another funny thing, I'm sure you saw, obviously, all of the tweets by by Jake
yeah,
after the fight, right? Saying Logan won and
yeah.
saying a bunch of stuff came out from Jake, but that's completely expected, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So
I'm so excited for Jake's fight though. Next in a two
yeah,
about 2.5 months or so. I'm so excited for that though. But like these guys have really made it. Like you can say whatever you want about this fight. Logan still was able to fight Floyd Mayweather. These guys went from making videos on their phone when they were like teenagers in high school to living in
yeah,
LA, making cringe videos that people found I was entertained by them. Growing up, I loved watching them, and now they're like fighting. They're fighting real
yeah,
fighters. It's very, very cool to see for anyone who is doing who's in any kind of industry. Like it's possible. You
yeah.
can do these things. It's like it's amazing. It's amazing
And
to
just
see.
like to see, yeah, like we talked about, Chad Johnson and
Yeah,
a lot of these other kind of celebrities, but yeah, in different sectors, whether it be a football player or a YouTuber and these Vine stars like Jake Paul
hmm
and Logan Paul, so many different people getting into boxing. So I feel like, and we talked about that again over the past couple of weeks, how it's grown in that sense. It's grown
yeah.
the sport and people and eyes watching it,
Yeah.
right? So
Well, tonight actually is I think we
yeah,
talked about it last week, the Jake TikToker YouTuber thing. Like I know it's not as big as this is, but
yeah.
I'm so excited because I follow these guys on all their platforms. There's these YouTubers, the TikTokers, and there's like real drama going on and there's a lot of money happening. So it's like I'm watching it with a friend outside tonight, socially distanced still. But like
Yeah.
I'm so excited for this because it's like you follow these kids who you just see making dancing videos or you see them playing games and now you're going to see them getting in a ring to punch each other in the face for a lot of money. Like that is so cool and
It's exciting.
it's
Yeah.
bringing in a huge audience cuz like watching that undercard of those two guys I don't even know. I'm like I love watching this. Maybe
Yeah.
boxing is actually a really cool sport that I want to watch because I was so entertained. So like
Yeah.
I wouldn't have watched boxing probably if it wasn't for Logan and Jake. I did
Yeah.
watch the Floyd Conor McGregor fight a couple
Right.
years ago, but that was because
Right.
everybody was watching it. But
Yep.
I wasn't watching any other Floyd fights. I just didn't really care. But now I'm in this generation with social media. I care now.
Yeah, exactly. And I think so many people are I'm with you. Like I don't really know any boxers or anything like that over the past 2, 3 years other than
Yeah.
the Floyd and the
Yeah.
McGregor fight and then these Paul fights, which I think a lot of people are like us. So it's in
Yeah.
we talked about that. It's good for the sport in that sense,
Yeah.
even though a lot of people are criticizing them.
Yeah.
It actually has done a lot for boxing and MMA in general. So that's interesting. Like you said, it's going to be awesome to see Jake Paul fight Woodley
I'm so excited.
in a couple months. That's going to be really awesome to see. So, would you want to transition over here to football?
Yeah.
Julio Jones, after he had the talk with Shannon Sharp, and we went over that last week. Yeah, he's out of Atlanta and he's not going to Dallas. He's actually coming to my division. Which I am not too happy about. We mentioned the Titans as a potential place last week,
Yeah.
and that's where he's going. I'm surprised. Were you surprised at how little they gave up? It was just a second and a fourth round pick.
Right.
Um, I was surprised. I mean, he's
Yeah.
still a very, very, very good receiver.
Yeah, I think you're right, but at the same time, it's like you have to think about those injuries though, because
You
it's
do.
you
Yeah.
watch him, but like not when he plays, he's amazing, but he's
Yeah.
kind of like Odell. He reminds me of Odell a little bit. Like when he's hot,
Yeah.
but then it's like you battle a lot of injuries, and that can affect like do you want to give up a first round pick for someone who may not even play? He may play two
Yeah.
games and be out for the year with a
Exactly.
broken foot, whatever. Like those things happen for wide receivers. So especially him. So I think I don't mind that trade. Also just knowing that he wanted out, maybe teams just didn't want to give up a lot for him. Like it's hard to trade a lot for a wide receiver because you don't know how they're
Yes.
gonna be. But I'm sure you're a bit scared though, right?
And an aging one too. I
Yeah.
am. I am a little bit scared. Because like you said, when he's hot, like, he's unstoppable, right? Like his size and the way that he plays, like Julio is an amazing receiver, but he's aging, the
Yeah.
injuries,
Hmm.
all those factors. So it kind of makes sense why he's not why he wasn't worth a first round pick. But I'm still a little bit shocked that Atlanta didn't try to force them,
Hmm.
to force the other team like Tennessee or another team to give up a first. I'm
Yeah.
scared though, for sure. Tennessee looks
Like
like
they're
the best in that
stacked.
division.
Oh my yeah, Derrick Henry. Like you got Derrick Henry, the best running back in the NFL.
Yeah,
Like my gosh, and then now you got Julio Jones. You got a stacked wide receiver team. Like
yeah,
Tannehill's looking good. I think he's gonna get even better too,
yeah,
with more weapons. Like
yeah.
I
Like
would be
AJ
really
Brown
worried. Yeah,
is
AJ
an
Brown.
amazing receiver on there as
AJ,
well,
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I would be very worried if they were in my division, but I'm
for
excited
sure.
to see him there. It'll be very, very cool.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's going to be interesting. I'm not going to like these Jags Titans games. I don't know who we are going to put on Julio.
Yeah,
But hey, that would have been nice to see if Ramsey was still with us, and it could have been Ramsey and Julio in
right.
the
That'd be
same
cool.
division. But the Jags don't like keeping on to their best players, so that's something else. But football still, Aaron Rodgers, not much going on
Mhm.
with that. We're still waiting on that. Same thing with Deshaun Watson. I heard his name in the news a little bit this week, but again, not much going on there. And yeah, I mean, training camps are kind of rolling, but in terms of the NFL, it's kind of the dead part
Right
uh,
now, yeah.
there
But
right.
football still is hot right now because there's a Manning name going around. It's not
Yeah,
Eli, it's not Peyton, it's not their brother Cooper, it's their nephew, Arch Manning. He's been making some headlines. He has been for the past like year or two, just with high school highlights. But there's this video of him at Clemson. I think there's some sort of camp he's doing there, just throwing bombs. And this kid's
yeah,
16 years old. And you think about this kid, he'll be in the NFL a couple years. Hopefully, he is able to make it.
yeah,
But you look at this kid, it's like your nephews are Eli Manning and Peyton Manning. Your grandfather's Arch Manning, and your father is Cooper Manning. And people don't know a lot about Cooper Manning, but he was actually a great wide receiver. I believe he was going to Ole Miss. He committed to Ole Miss as a wide receiver, but he got injured and he had like I think he found out that he had some sort of like health problem where it was too dangerous for him to play. So he
mhm,
had to like retire from football. So no one
okay,
ever got to see his talent, but I'm pretty
yeah,
sure he's probably the most athletic out of that
wow,
family, right? Because he's a
right,
wide
yeah,
receiver. Like you look at Peyton and Eli, those guys are
they
not
weren't
wide
too
receivers.
athletic.
I don't think
Yeah,
they're the most athletic guys. Yes, they're quarterbacks have to be athletic, but it's a different kind of athleticism than being a
for
wide
sure.
receiver or being a track star, whatever.
Yeah,
So this kid, Arch, his father is very athletic, as you know, wide receiver, and but he's a quarterback. So I think he has a lot of potential and he can be the GOAT of the NFL.
in the future, yeah, he could be. He could
I
be.
think so.
That video actually, you were mentioning it to me off air. I haven't seen that video,
Mhm.
so I am gonna for sure watch that of him slinging it around at Clemson because that's really interesting. Do we know where if he's committed to a college or if he's
Not
going
yet.
to a college? Not
We
yet.
don't we don't know anything yet, I believe, but I feel like he's gonna go to a big school like Clemson maybe,
Right.
or he'll follow somewhere where his uncles went. But I do think though that he's gonna be a star if he can stay healthy and stay consistent. I think he can be a star in the NFL.
Well, and
I'm saying that
it's the
now.
bloodlines, yeah,
Yeah,
and yes, you'd be one of the
yeah.
first
I'm saying it
toothpaste
right now. Come
right now market.
find this
Yeah,
clip in like 5 years, or no, it could be like 4 years. Find
yeah.
the yeah right here. I'm calling it. He's gonna be the next star. He's gonna be better than Eli and Peyton. I'm saying it now.
Wow, wow,
Yeah,
that is a remarkable thing to say. Two Hall of Famers, pretty much there. So, yeah, it's all in the bloodlines, is what I was gonna say. Because yeah,
yeah.
like the grandfather Archie, what a great quarterback. Peyton and Eli, they were in our generation. We've watched
Mhm.
lots of them. So amazing. So you would think Arch is gonna follow in a similar. Well, you're calling it, but
I'm
you would
calling
think
it.
you're calling it. You would think he's gonna follow in that trajectory though. That's super exciting. Like I said, I gotta watch that video
Yeah,
and
you got to see
see
that.
him throwing it. So that's really interesting. Talking about Eli Manning, just wanted to talk on Brandon Jacobs. And I
Hmm.
mentioned that Eli Manning's a Hall of Famer there just because Brandon Jacobs was so determined on that when we asked him the question in our interview. But really interesting. You mentioned it to me as well. Jacobs is looking at coming back to the NFL
Yeah,
and not as a running back, but as a defensive lineman, inspired by Tebow a little bit.
yeah.
That that's wild. I mean, that came out of nowhere, really.
Yeah, he announced this like a couple weeks ago. I don't know if he said he was for sure still on
Yeah,
it because I think he said something about the diet has to be super strict now, and I don't think he's ready to give up
yeah,
some of his favorite foods. But I would love to see Brandon making a comeback. Like he is such a beast. I think he's one of the most underrated running backs of like
for
the
sure.
2000s because he like the only guy you really can compare him with is like Derrick Henry. Big guy, super fast. Like no one can tackle him. He's a guy who you can see like out of any really other athletes. I don't really see anyone changing position, but I see him because he just has that crazy ability, and
Yep.
I see it happening. I see
And
him
he's
coming back.
I would love to see it. And he's so focused. Like that's when we were chatting with him a month ago, or a little bit over that, I
Mhm.
guess it was. And he talked about how he never loved the game of football, right? He
Right.
never really fell into love with the game of football too. And now he might want to make a comeback to that game.
Mhm.
So it just shows you how kind of determined. That's why it's not out of. It definitely could be a possible realistic thing because he's so determined and focused with what he does, and that's what he was explaining. If you haven't seen our interview, it was a really good chat with him.
Mhm.
So I would love to see it. I would love to see it. He would need to make a lot of changes though to
Oh
yeah
yeah.
the diet and getting back into the life of an NFL athlete, which is a lot different than being retired and coaching, which is what he does
Oh yeah.
nowadays.
It's very tough for him to do that also with age and he's running other football programs and his son, I think his son's like 6'5" and he's like 15 years old. So I think his
Wow.
son's gonna be a beast in the NFL too. I'm you guys can
Agree.
find this here in like 6 years, but it'll be interesting though to see him go back even though admitting he doesn't love the game because I think that's a part
Yeah.
of it. And I was telling you this off air that I want to get into another episode, not too much on this one, but I was listening to Johnny Manziel on a podcast, Bussin' with the Boys. It's a Barstool Sports podcast. Two guys from the Titans run it. Great podcast. And they were talking to Johnny, and he was saying like he just didn't love the game. Like he doesn't,
Yeah.
he never loved the game. He didn't like putting in that effort. He didn't like the sacrifices. He just didn't love it. And the reason why a lot of these guys succeed in the NFL is because they love the game. So
Yeah.
it will be interesting. So I do want to talk about that next week. But with Brandon, maybe he'll fall in love with it this time.
Maybe, yeah, maybe, and for him, and that's what he was saying, right? He didn't have to fall into the
Hmm.
game. It was just a matter of like that was kind of his job, and he would show up and
Yeah.
be good at his job,
Yeah.
right? And if he wants to do it again, that's awesome. I think next week would be awesome for us to have a talk on Manziel, because yeah, what a life he has lived and is
Yeah.
living in the NFL and in the CFL, even with Hamilton, my
Hmm.
hometown. It's really interesting. There's a lot to get into, and there's not enough time today. So I think next week we'll really talk about that. I think that's all we're going to touch on today on the
Hmm.
podcast. The one thing I wanted to mention, the Euros are going on as well, the big soccer tournament. And I don't know if you saw or heard about Christian Eriksen,
Hmm.
the player.
I saw
Uh,
that. Yeah.
frightening. Super,
Collapsed.
super, super scary.
Are there any updates now? Because it just happened recently,
Yeah, it did. It
half an
happened
hour ago,
about yeah,
hour
about
ago,
half
maybe.
hour ago. In the match between Denmark and Finland, and no one was around him, and he just collapsed. He is stable now. Apparently he's at a hospital and he's stable. They
My
did
God.
send that update, but they were doing CPR like very well. His life was
Scary.
saved on the field, and super scary. A lot of people are giving ESPN and all the camera networks a lot of flack for showing it because they were showing his wife
Oh
crying on the
no. Did they
sidelines.
do that? I didn't see that. That's terrible.
It's
That's
terrible. Like
disgusting.
they
Come on.
ran, they essentially showed the chest compressions being done on him, and again, when you're broadcasting, like take a commercial, right? You're
Yeah.
not you can't show
Yeah.
that,
No,
right?
no.
So
100%.
prayers with him, of course. Good to hear that he's doing good. That was
Good. Mhm.
incredibly scary. I can't believe they actually resumed the match and they're playing it now, but
Oh, I thought I thought it was canceled, or was it just postponed for a bit?
it
Is
was
that what happened?
suspended for about an hour and then they
Ah,
restarted it, which again is kind of surprising
that's
as well that
surprising.
they're making them play. But it is what it is, and of
Mhm.
course we wish him the best
Mhm.
because that was super scary. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about for sure for next week. And NHL NBA playoffs keep going on. The Habs are in
Yeah,
the conference finals.
that's
That we haven't
awesome.
touched on that, but I'm super happy
Next
about
week
that.
we will. Next week
We
we got to
will
do Johnny. We got Montreal. I'm sure other stuff is going to come up about sports,
for
but
sure.
I'm going die hard Montreal. I'm going die hard
Yes.
Montreal. I want to see you guys win so badly. Like because like we've talked about I have so much family in Montreal.
Yep.
I want to see them win. So that'd be great.
Same here. Montreal, Vegas, that starts on Monday. So we'll get
Monday.
into that next
Yes.
week as well. But for
Awesome.
everybody watching, as always, subscribe to our channel, follow us on Instagram, Hawks Huddle Podcast, and drop a like on this video. We definitely appreciate it. For Jacqueline Kula and Mark Haskinet, thank you for watching us on Hawks Huddle, and we'll see you next week.